it so hot? Hello, everyone. It's hot. How's everybody going today? Oh, Melbourne Muso's Facebook Live. Here we go. Let's talk about the weather. Here we go. Let me get my plugs in. Hey. Oh, where's my thing? Hello, everyone. How are you on this 45-degree day? My name's Chris Quinlan. It's Melbourne Muso's Facebook Live on Friday. Damn hot. And what I want to do today is talk about getting around the drums. Because one of the things you want to be able to do is be able to interpret pieces of music by famous people where the idea behind drumming is classical percussion and things like that, where you might have. This is tuned to a pentatonic. I've done it before. And what goes on is when you're actually getting melodic with your drumming and all this sort of business, you have to work out routines just the same way as a guitarist would have to work out fingering patterns for a scale and all this sort of business. So let me take you through it a little bit and work it through. I've got my mallet, so I'm going to be a little bit on the, I don't know if I'm going to be on the quiet side. So when you're getting around the drums, and you're trying to find ways of expressing things, you have to work out your sticking patterns just the same way as a guitarist will work out their fingering patterns on the guitar, or a pianist, or whomever. Lester Young, very famous saxophonist, was famous for his false fingering, so he could just literally just fly on his instrument. So let me take you through a few principles here. When I'm playing, one of the things that I like to do is sort of set up what's known as a pivot point, okay? Now, a pivot point is essentially the spot between two drums where you place your wrist in order to minimize the movement of your stroke. So if I'm just going to go, Hail Caesar! Epic Theatre, Channel 9, when I was growing up, 11 o'clock before the wrestling. Anyway. Samson, Hail Caesar, and all that. So what happens is, if you're doing that fairly quickly, you have a pivot point, you see. So now what goes on? That's a paradiddle diddle. Right, left, right, left, left, right? Pivot point, see the pivot point. That's what goes on, you see. So there's a pivot point there. Now that's part one. When you're going around the drums, such as like this, what can start to happen instead of just going like that? It's almost like just moving up and down. You see, you've got this pivot point, down, over, Now this is the what I often call the Dirty Harry drum lesson, because a man's guts to know his limitations. Magnum Force, 1974. What I'm doing here Boom tish. You've got to have a boom tish, don't you, Shannon? There you go. So what goes on there is that I'm doing angles, right? Now, I don't mean to be scatterbrained, but this is what goes on. I've got my pivot points going. I've explained that. Now, if I'm going to draw a star, okay, hello star, if you're watching, there you go. That means one drum. If I'm going to draw a line, okay, a line has 2 points, you see. So there's the beginning and the end. So that's a line. If I'm going to draw a triangle, that's 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You see what I mean? And a square is 4. You can do more. You can do 5, 6s, and 7s, whatever you want if you've got enough equipment. And what goes on here, I'll just stick to the 4. So what happens is with the typical, say, 5-piece, let me call it a 6 so I can bring this one in. And what can happen is you can get some pretty crazy little things here. So you can get like a square. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Line. Get you thinking. What happens if I do a 3 here? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Square there. Ooh. Now here, that is a polymeter. I talk about them all the time because you all ask me about them, you see. What happens here with Frank Zappa? What happens with there? What happens with Tool? What happens here? What, you know, all of this stuff. They work with polymeters and polyrhythms, you see. That's what goes on. So what goes on here is I've got 3, and at the same time, Joe Morello calls these flat flams in his book. When you're just playing flat. Not a normal flam, just a flat flam. And what goes on is that if I've got 3 here and I've got 4 there, the common denominator, 3 times 4 is 12. It will come around every 12 beats, so you could call it, you could write it in a bar of 12/8 if you wish or whatever. However, you can start doing other things, you see. So if I'm doing this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. How about if I just do a single stroke roll? So just double tapped. There it is there, you see.